Alrighty, so I wanted to make a quick video, kind of like a playthrough of the solo mode here. Kind of been requested, and I know that's something that a lot of people have been looking forward to. So I wanted to show everybody how the solo mode works. Now, the first thing you'll notice is the solo mode plays with just the base game. However, you can add a lot of the small nuances from the other expansions into this game, such as the random encounters from the newest expansion. You'll also add a lot of the newer monsters to the monster deck. You'll also add all of the adventure cards from both expansions into this to include all of the heroes from all the expansions into the main deck. You can also add the king from the newest expansion into the array, basically to recruit as well. So you can still add everything, or at least most of everything. You're just not going to add the two boards. The two boards offer tons of player interaction, and we're playing solo. So how this works is on your turn, you're going to, of course, draw 5 cards. And once you've drawn 5 cards, you'll begin your turn. So basically what I have here is I've got my 5 cards. Now the very first step, once I've drawn my cards, is the shadow player will always go first. Now we're going to look at what level the monsters are. Currently they're level 1. So that means the shadow player is only going to draw 1 card. So the very first card that they draw is this decay card. I'm going to try to not get any shine here. So what the decay card has is underneath the name, of course, is just the image. Then we have a lock. It's got a lock and the desert realm on it, which means just for my next turn, only for my next turn, I cannot place any of my meeples here in these 3 spots here. That's it. I just can't play in those 3 spots for the next turn. Then the shadow player goes up once, gains 1 rank in the Cleric's Guild, and then moves once in the dungeon. So we just simply move that once, and then they gain 1 rank. All right. Then they're going to place 1 darkness token in the Ancient Ruins. Super easy. Place that here. And then the bottom, we're not going to worry about until the dungeon phase. All right. Then we would take our turn like normal. When I take my turn, I can still choose to go to the Ancient Ruins. All right. And when I go to the Ancient Ruins, I'd play, any card that would allow me to do so. However, I can still pay 1 food, gain 4 mana. That's still an option. Or this specific location, if it's got darkness on it, to remove the darkness, I can pay 1 food, and instead of gaining mana, I can remove the darkness. So that's what I could do. I would take that darkness, and I'm going to place it into one of these 4 spots. This card right here has 4 different areas, and when you place this token in one of those spots, the shadow player is going to move that many spaces in the dungeon. So maybe at the beginning turn, maybe I don't want to go for 4, and I'm just going to do the 1 there. And that's going to let me move I'll let the shadow player move 1 space in the dungeon. That's a little bit more controllable. So, and then I would, again, take my next turn and I could place my meeple other places. Now, say we have gone into the dungeon a little bit further and we've advanced through the turns a bit more. And there's a few darkness tokens out. All right. So we've got level 2 monsters now. Now the shadow player is going to be playing more than 1 card. They're going to be playing 2 cards. Now, it's still going to take place just like this. All right. They always play first. So now for my very next turn, I cannot go to the tundra area just for the next turn. And then they're going to move only 1 spot in the dungeon, just like normal. And then they're going to place a darkness token in the fairy garden. Oh, well, there's already a darkness token in the fairy garden, which means I get to choose any one other space on the board to place a darkness token that doesn't already have one. So maybe the temple. Now, if I wanted to remove the darkness from the temple, I would have to pay 2 gold and 1 food. All right. So if I was to just gain stuff from a space, I would pay that stuff instead to remove the darkness. However, if there is a thing like the Oasis where I'm paying to gain something, I would pay 3 gold to remove darkness instead of paying 3 gold to gain 3 recruit points. Hopefully that makes sense. Just like here at the church, I would pay 2 food to either draw 3 cards, or I could pay 2 food to remove darkness. Here at the tavern and the castle, I'd have to lose 1 level in the dungeon and basically discard one of those cards. So at the tavern, I would discard 1 of my adventure cards. At the castle, I'd have to discard 1 of my hero cards from my hand. That goes the same for the fort. If I want to remove darkness from the fort, which is one of the hardest places to remove darkness, I have to pay 8 gold to remove the darkness. Or I could pay 8 gold to remove, free my third worker, or of course, gain 2 rank. So that's kind of how the darkness works. Now, the cool thing about the darkness is when you remove them, again, they're going to go into these spots and it makes it a little bit more difficult. But once you've placed 4 darkness tokens on the shadow, he flips over. And now you're working with these 4 options. Now, you're going to be giving the points to the shadow. Why would I want to do this? Well, once I've placed 2 into each spot, the shadow will gain a point. However, if I can place 2 in each one of these spots here, I am automatically win the game. I beat the game. So that's kind of cool. Now, how the dungeon works, we'll get into the dungeon here. So the dungeon works just like this. If on my turn in the dungeon, again, the shadow always plays first. So they're going to flip a card, and they're going to gain that many flags that's right here at the bottom. So they're going to gain 2 flags. All right, now I can play my adventure cards. I've got a little bit of leeway. I can look at my adventure cards. I can see, what magic cards I can possibly play to kind of offset that. So they always get to play first, but at least in the dungeon, you're going to be able to kind of play and see what you need to play for the dungeon itself. Play's going to keep going just like that. There's a couple of ways that the game can end. If the shadow player ever gains all 4 of the elemental stones, they automatically win. If all 12 spaces on this board have darkness tokens on them, they automatically win. So you have to deal with that. And of course, just like in normal gameplay, once the game end is triggered by getting 10 points, if the darkness or if the shadow player has more points, then of course they win. You can win that same exact way, just like in the normal game. If you've got more points than the shadow player at the end of the game, you'll of course win. And then the other way you can win, of course, is by defeating the final form. Now, because there's so much interaction in the game, in the rulebook itself, there are different ways of interacting with other players. So there's a interaction terms section. So such as if a card says choose a player to lose a level, it's going to tell you how to deal with that. If a player would need to discard a card, it's going to tell you how to deal with that. So all that's right there in the rulebook. It also has everything labeled on what you're going to do. And to kind of go back, because I kind of skipped over this just a little bit, but of course when the shadow would go, if it's level 2 monsters, they would play their card right here. I wouldn't be able to go to the forest realm, but I can go anywhere else. Once I've placed my meeple, then the shadow would go again. And then the shadow here says, well, now I can't go to the town realm. I can go to the forest realm now. That's fine. I can go to the forest realm now. It was just for that one turn I couldn't go there, but now I can't go to the town realm. And of course, if we get to level 3 monsters, by that point you might have your third worker. The shadow will play a third card every single time. Even if you've only got 2 workers, they're going to then end the adventure phase here, or the hero phase. Basically, they're going to end it with a third card being played, which means they're going to place a third darkness token no matter what on level 3 monsters. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. It becomes very difficult and you have to manage this. There are ways to increase the difficulty by having the shadow player start higher in each one of these ranks. You can also increase the ease of play for this if you want by adding leader cards to yourself. You can also add in other expansions such as the elemental techs and things of that nature to basically make it slightly easier for yourself, but that's really up to you. And I think that's basically about it. Of course, you still have your treasure cards and everything like that. Yeah, it's very difficult but easy to manage. There's not a lot of upkeep for the solo play, and the best part is that the turns are quick, but yet the game is still very challenging. I tried to make this as unique and fun as possible while also keeping the upkeep low and still being pretty challenging. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in the comments down below. And yeah, hopefully you guys can jump into the crowd sale or just pick up the expansion, the Time Trigger, whenever you guys want to. If you do run into any cards that may, have something that has to do with an expansion, kind of like if I drew this one out and it's got the corruption, just discard it, get it gone, and then place a new card out there. There we go. That doesn't have anything to do with any of the expansion boards. So easy to deal with, nothing too crazy. Hope you guys enjoyed and have a better idea. Thanks.